Hey everyone, exciting news. We've officially launched the Paranoid Perspective Patreon. If you love what we do, unpacking conspiracies, chasing mysteries, and laughing through the weirdness, now you can support the show and get more of it.
So, for as little as $5 a month, you will get exclusive access and extra perks to the episode. Sarah, what do we get with Tier 1?
So, Tier 1 is the Curious Minds, and you get a shout out at the end of every episode.
Next tier, this is what you guys really probably want. Ad-free episodes. We don't need those pesky ads that you guys are getting on Spotify, Apple, whatever else. You will get all episodes ad-free along with what else, Sarah?
You'll also get it ahead of time. So before the episode releases for that week, it'll be available for you to watch or listen.
So if you guys are interested, check in the show notes down below, or you can head to patreon.com/the Paranoid Perspective Podcast. Welcome back to the Paranoid Perspective. I am Jake.
And I'm Sarah.
Sarah, we are out of spooky season, so we're getting back to the real world. Well, I guess the real world of conspiracies and weird stuff. So I guess still the real world. So we actually live relatively, geographically speaking, close to where this incident, we grew up pretty close to it. You still are really close to it, actually. Heck of a lot closer than you were before. Yeah.
Right.
I'm surprised you're not having like daily experiences like this, like on the hour, but.
Well, it's not on my side. It's on the other side.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
listeners, I'm sure everybody has heard about the Bermuda Triangle and all of its mysteries and goodies that it gives to unsuspecting pilots and fishermen and people in that area. But little may you know that there might be one in North America. Sarah, what are we talking about today?
We're going to talk about Lake Michigan's triangle. We're going to dive into that. And I'm wearing my water earrings that look
You
like
have
the beach.
themed earrings for every episode. Listeners, this is why you should watch the YouTube channel, because Sarah has a themed earring for every episode, I swear.
Yeah, I'm trying. I mean, I do have like probably 50 pairs of earrings or something. But yeah, so Lake Michigan Triangle, if people aren't familiar with it, it is on the other side. It's on the Michigan side, not the Illinois side that I'm on, so I don't get any of it, unfortunately.
Lame.
Yeah. So I guess it's the area between Manitowoc, Wisconsin. I was so worried I wouldn't be able to say that, but Manitowoc and Ludington, Michigan, and Benton Harbor, Michigan.
Cool. I have no idea where any of those are at.
I can share a map for viewers.
There we go. Share that screen,
I'm always
Sarah.
sharing my screen. Okay, let's see. Entire screen. This one. Yep. Every time. There we go. See,
Oh, okay. I see.
yeah, so it's pretty far away from Chicago area where I'm at, but
Yeah.
it's pretty big though.
Well, Lake Michigan is pretty fucking big. It might as well,
When you-
like, if you saw it without knowing what it was, I guarantee you would be confusing it for an ocean.
Yeah. Yeah, some people do say it's more like a square. Like some people say it is pretty much all of Lake Michigan, but this is the triangle that people agree on.
Yeah. So it's for listeners that may be consuming this on an audio version. It is an acute triangle. It is, yeah. It's gets very narrow and then goes out to something kind of wide, and it's about the width of the entire lake itself at the,
Yeah.
So.
At the northern part, yeah. But mostly Michigan side, they get all the fun. But so planes, ships, and people have vanished under mysterious or unexplained circumstances.
And/or. I'm going to go with the and.
Yeah, mysterious and or unexplained. But and UFOs and USOs have also been spotted in the area. Maybe they're stealing people or ships, whatever.
Or maybe it's this hyper advanced technology that the government has that they're just using to test on their own people.
Could be. Or someone else's highly advanced technology. So first I thought maybe some Lake Michigan facts for people who have like never seen it, because it is a great lake, and like you said, it is like basically an ocean,
Right.
freshwater ocean, because you cannot see the other side of it. Lake Michigan is, oh yeah,
The Earth is flat, Sarah, and if I get a Nikon whatever D20 whatever the flat earthers go with
yeah,
and I zoom in enough, I will be able to see the other side. Thank you very much.
right. That's well, you can try, I guess. I mean, I think it's not that big. Yeah, it's not an ocean, but it's pretty fucking big. So it's the second largest Great Lake by volume. So it has
Okay.
1,180 cubic miles, which is 4,900 cubed kilometers for anyone that needs that.
Those be numbers.
Yeah. Okay. So that's more than the Grand Canyon because the Grand
Yeah.
Canyon is 1,000 cubic
Yeah.
miles. Yeah. And it has a depth of 923 feet or 281 meters. So it's 20 meters less than the Eiffel Tower, which is 65 feet.
So
So the Eiffel Tower could almost fit,
this the last what 20 meters of it will be sticking up above it is what you
yeah,
said?
65
Yeah.
feet. Right.
Yeah.
And it's also the third largest surface area of the Great Lakes. So it has 22,405 square miles or 58,030 square kilometers. And apparently that's a little bit bigger than Croatia.
Well, to be fair, some of those countries in Europe and Eurasia are very small in relative comparison to anything in the United States.
But just if you live in Croatia, you could live in the Lake Michigan.
Come on, move on over from Croatia and go ahead and get in Lake Michigan. I'm sure it'll be great.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Yeah, the whole country could live in there, but fit in there, I guess. But okay, so for disappearances, the frequency of disappearances was first mentioned in this guy's book, Jay Gorley. I guess that's how I'm gonna say it. And he wrote a book.
I'm
Yep.
happy we don't have a J followed by a middle initial for a middle name followed by
Yeah.
I'm about getting sick and tired of that shit. So we'll
Well,
go
no,
with J.
his first name is Jay, Jay.
Oh, okay, never mind then. I stand
Yeah,
corrected.
real name. Yep.
Yeah, real names opposed to these fake names,
These letters that people
JP
just put in
Morgan
there.
and stuff like that.
Right. Who is that? So he wrote a book in 1977 titled The Great Lakes Triangle. So for all of the lakes, apparently. And then later authors focused on just Lake Michigan afterwards,
So that's to imply that all of the Great Lakes had a triangle, or it was
I
like
guess.
encompassing, the triangle was
Each,
encompassing all, or did
maybe.
each one have each like an individual one?
I don't know what Jay was thinking, and I don't know. I haven't seen the book, but maybe each one has its own.
Sarah, you're telling me you didn't buy this crazy man's book from 1977?
No. I didn't even look if I could find it. It's probably like $500 or something
Yeah, you're
crazy.
probably right. It's probably stupid expensive.
Right. But like I said, some experts debate if it is a triangle or if it's a rectangle that covers pretty much all of Lake Michigan, which I
When you
think
s-
is kind of,
when you say experts, I'm thinking of Dr. Evil and Austin Powers, giving his hand
yeah.
experts. What are we
Right.
talking about here? Are we talking about like ancient alien experts or are we talking about like actual scientists? I feel like we're talking about ancient
Well,
alien.
yeah, probably more like ancient alien
Okay.
conspiracy theory
Pseudo
experts. Yeah.
scientists. Got
We
it.
could be experts.
Sarah, we might as well be experts at this point. We have done 30 plus episodes. We are experts, okay?
Yeah. And we actually look up our stuff.
No, just do the research, bro.
Yeah. So apparently there have been up to 1,500 shipwrecks in Lake Michigan, and only 300 have been found.
That is a lot and a lot that have not been found. I mean, I understand
Yeah.
that it is kind of treacherous in certain spots, and when storms do kick up there, like it does get pretty crazy. So, like, the volume of shipwrecks doesn't surprise me, but the volume that haven't been even found, that seems a little odd. I mean, I know it might be hard to navigate, underneath the water and stuff, but it still seems kind of crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. It does seem, and also saying up to 1,500. I mean, if they haven't found it and stuff, how are they? How do they know how many? I guess from records.
Yeah, I mean, so this is even including stuff that just you said wrecked or disappeared, right?
Yeah. Well, it
Okay.
said shipwrecks.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So it's like up to. Does that mean that we're
Right.
implying that some of these haven't been found? So they're not actually wrecked, they're just missing?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Until you find pieces of it, then it disappeared, I guess. But so the first major unexplained event was the disappearance of the French sailing ship Le Griffon.
Everybody loves
Le
the Griffon.
Griffon. Yeah. In the 17th. So after that, the Thomas Hume sunk in 1891. So I guess there was kind of a period where, like 100 years almost or something, where there wasn't any. But since the Thomas Hume one, shipwrecks and disappearances have become more frequent. But that might also just be because of better record keeping.
Well, I was gonna say better record keeping and more people coming to the
Yeah,
area. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah, the population definitely has increased. And like the
Yeah.
amount of ships on the
Yeah.
lake, yeah. Yeah. And I guess the first UFO reported was in 1913.
Okay. Well, I'm happy it's not like 1949 or 1950.
Yeah, it was 1913.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, like I said about the Le Griffon, we will talk about that one first because that's the first notable incident. So it was a sailing ship that disappeared on September 18th, 1679.
Okay.
So it was docked at La Grande Bay, which is present day Green Bay.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, we got some good
Yeah,
cheese there, so I understand why they would say Legrand.
yeah, Bay, like Baie. I don't know French, but so I assume it still is Bay, even though it's whatever. But they loaded 12,000 pounds of fur from the fur trade and set sail for Lake Erie, and it never arrived. And there were never any confirmed parts of the ship located or anyone from the crew. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Back, I mean, we're talking where if you were 3 days late, a week late, like people were just like, oh, yeah, they probably got held up.
Yeah.
You know,
There's no way to find you or anything. Yeah.
if you were coming across from, Europe to the United States and you were a month late, they're like, oh, yeah, they must have just got turned around. They'll probably be here in another month. Like, you know what I
Right.
mean? So
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know, like,
true.
when was it alarming that they weren't in Lake Erie? That would be my question is like,
Right. Well,
because
yeah.
if it was they were expected to sail there, I mean, I would think it would be at least a day or two, at the most, the
Right.
quickest. And even that, I'm probably being way too generous with that. Probably like a week. You
Yeah,
know what I
probably
mean?
back then yeah. Right. Well, yeah, because I don't know when people started trying to find it.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been months later, and then what? How
Yeah.
would you find really anything of it, or anybody that did survive that possibly was able to swim to shore? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's true. Well, but there's been a lot of people now because it's like viewed as the holy grail of shipwreck hunters. So people still look for it for this day, like any piece of it, and they can't find any of it. So,
that is interesting because I do know that they're exploring in water's hard, though. Especially
yeah.
like water that is extremely, murky and has these crazy storms that pop up out of nowhere. Like, it's hard to operate. Like, we're not built for it. So, I mean, it kind of
Yeah,
makes sense why nothing has been found, but at the same time, I mean, that's a long time for especially just wood and, normal basic raw material to just deteriorate too.
that's true. Yeah. Well, yeah, and people at that time, I guess, I mean, the common theory was that there was a storm
Hmm.
and it broke apart or whatever, but other people thought either the Ottawas or the Potawatomis boarded the ship and murdered the crew and then set the ship on fire. So if it was burnt, you wouldn't be able to find it probably.
Well, see, that was my next guess was that, somehow they were intercepted by the natives that were living in the United States and Canada at the time, and they didn't get along with a lot of us, so it would
Right.
make sense why if they got a hold of a ship, they're like, they don't really have a use for that, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah. Yeah,
So
and I guess also at the time, the ship's builder speculated that the crew purposely sunk the ship or whatever and took the fur for themselves too.
well,
So that's also a theory. And they just disappeared. But no, I mean, no one can prove it because it's so
right.
old now. So, but yeah. So the next one was the Thomas Hume with 6 sailors on board. So this was May 21st, 1891. And it was a schooner. I guess that's like a sail, kind of like the low sail kind of boats.
Okay. Hey, listeners, full disclosure, Sarah and I have limited, and that's being generous, nautical knowledge of vessels.
You're
So,
right.
uh,
Yeah, we grew up landlocked, so yeah. Okay, well, whoever people know what a schooner is, right? So
if you don't, look it up because we're not doing it.
okay. So there were two of them, Thomas Hume and Rouse Simmons, I guess. I guess I'm gonna say Rouse, like mouse, but
Yeah.
an R. Roos or Rouse, I don't know. So they set off from port after dropping off a shipment of lumber. So they were in Chicago, dropped off the lumber. They're going back to the Hackley Hume lumber mill in Muskegon.
Okay.
So then they encountered a squall, like in the middle of it. So then the crew of the Rouse Simmons returned to Chicago to like wait out the weather, but the Thomas Hume did not turn back and they kept going
That is
for
ding
some
dong
reason.
behavior.
Right. Yeah, I don't know why they didn't stick together, but that's always recipe for disaster. And of course, the Thomas Hume never arrived. So the Hackley Hume company sent a vessel to search for it and offered a $300 reward, but no one found anything. And at that time, that would have been $10,000 worth. So I was
Hmm.
interested in what $300 in 1891
It is
would
always,
be.
yeah, it's always funny to see what the exchange rate would have been for times and stuff like that and what dollars and stuff are worth. Because you hear that now and
Yeah,
it's like, dude, I'm not getting out on the fucking water and go looking for something for 300 bucks.
right.
You throw a five
Whatever.
digit number at me though, I'm be like, hey, well, I'm gonna hop on that schooner or whatever the hell it's called, that boat, and I'm gonna go do
Yeah.
it.
My little rowboat, I'm going out
Yeah,
there.
fuck it.
Yeah, so at the time, the accepted theory was either it sank from the same like squall the other one went back from, or another boat collided with it and like sunk it. Like didn't see them. I don't know
Well,
why
where's
it
the other
would
boat?
collide. Yeah, no one ever said. I don't know. That was kind of the two theories back then.
Okay, well,
But this one did end up being found later. So I
okay.
don't. I mean, it's notable, but not now anymore. But in 2000, an T recovery employee discovered the ship while they were searching for a lost U.S. Navy aircraft. So didn't find the
Okay.
aircraft, but found the ship. And it was completely intact, almost. And like the cold water preserved it. So it was 150 feet below the surface. And I guess the Michigan Shipwreck Research Association,
It's a lot.
they concluded that it was from the storm that it sank because it was too intact to have been hit by another boat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that one's solved, I guess. Any of these could be solved. Maybe we should become shipwreck hunters.
Sarah, as enticing as that sounds, I don't think I want to pit myself against Mother Nature on the open water, even of a Great Lake.
Right, that's true. Yeah, and we gotta get our diving certificates or whatever. And
Ain't
yeah.
nobody got time for that.
Okay, so the next one was the Rosabelle. It was a two-masted schooner used to transport materials to the House of David in Benton Harbor.
Sounds super important.
Yeah. So in 1875, a car ferry crossing the lake discovered the schooner floating upside down.
Always a good sign when you see a boat upside down.
Yeah. And the 10-man crew were never found. They were not on the boat or anywhere near it. They were never found. They never washed up somewhere else, I guess. So the ship was turned over and returned to a port in Milwaukee, and it remained in service. So then
Fuck
it was
that.
right. So it was still used. And then in October 1921, so that's like 50 years later almost,
Yeah.
the ship departed with a load of potatoes and maple lumber. And the ship's captain, Ed Johnson, refused to board the schooner when they were leaving. Like he would not, which is not a good sign.
Yeah. If the man in charge is like, I'm good, I'm probably going to be like, yeah, we're good.
Right. Yeah, I guess his son later said that he had had a premonition that a disaster was about to happen, the captain. So
Fucking
he
Final
would not get on.
Destination shit.
That's exactly what I thought too. I was like, oh my God, he had a vision. So yeah, the crew couldn't convince him, so they left without him. Days later, the ship was found capsized
And he
for a
said, I
second time.
fucking told you so.
Yeah, and no sign of the crew at all, so they were gone again. I guess the stern was missing, so it indicated some kind of collision, but there has never been any ship that reported having an accident with another ship. So not really sure what happened to that or the crew on either time, I guess. Just a cursed ship.
Yeah, I don't know, man. If 2 times it happens, it probably is best to not put that thing back in service. And if it does,
Right.
that crew needs to listen to their fucking captain next time.
Yeah. I just like you would think if the captain won't get on, then you wouldn't go anywhere.
Well, maybe,
But I
but
guess you just keep I don't know.
at the same time, I mean, this is like once somebody was in a line of work, that's what they did, and that was their lifeline
Well,
to
yeah,
getting paid.
right.
I'm not
Yeah,
going to
what are
listen
you
to.
gonna do with the
Yeah,
potatoes?
no, you're not going to eat them.
You gotta get them delivered. Yeah, kind of crazy that he had a premonition, I guess. So, I mean, those are kind of the big ship ones that people talk about. So there's a missing person one, like one notable missing person, I guess. So his name is George R. Donner, and he was the captain of the O.M. McFarland, which was a coal freighter.
Okay.
So on April,
Are those the
yeah,
ones that are like super long, almost like a
yeah, I think
barge?
so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, those have a lot of difficulty, I think,
Well, I mean,
anywhere
it's
because they can just break in the middle or something. Yeah. On April 28th, 1937 was his 58th birthday, and the ship picked up 9,800 tons of coal in Erie, Pennsylvania, and then traveled west through the lake, and it was bound for Port Washington, Wisconsin. So the captain spent hours on the bridge directing the ship through like ice floes. And then once they got into Lake Michigan, he went to his cabin to retire for a few hours. And he told the crew to tell him once they were like near, like closer to the destination, like come get me, 'cause he was gonna relax a little bit. So 3 hours later, the second mate went to his cabin and found it was locked from the inside. So he's like, oh, I won't disturb him. Okay. And he kind of had assumed maybe the captain had gone to the galley for a snack too, like maybe locked the door and left or whatever. So he looked there, he wasn't there at all. And then the crew started an extensive search and found nothing at all. So they eventually broke the door down because they're like, he has to be in there then. And like maybe he needs help or something.
right.
And once they broke the door down, he was not inside either. So he just literally disappeared. And apparently he was too large to fit through the two portholes in his room.
Okay.
So so he got
Well,
out of the window.
granted, those aren't very big, but okay.
Yeah, they're not that big. But it's like, where did he go then? And I guess people at the time said he didn't have any like signs of depression or suicidal thoughts, like that he just threw himself
Yeah,
overboard
but
or
was
something.
anybody really paying
Right.
attention to that?
Yeah, it's hard to tell now. Like there's so many
That's what I'm
people that
saying.
are like Right.
And you're telling me back then, because all that they were doing was buck up, it's fucking your job. You don't got to, whatever. There wasn't any sympathy for any
Yeah.
of that shit. No. I mean, sure. I mean, sometimes, yeah, you can tell, but at the same time, I mean, seems kind of odd that if he was gonna off himself, that it would be while he was in charge of a boat.
Right. Like, you're really just gonna throw yourself off into Lake Michigan?
I mean,
And,
of all
like,
the
no one saw anything
yeah.
or heard a splash, like, wouldn't they
But
look for
the
that kind of
splash might
thing?
be a
Like,
little hard though, because I mean those things are super long. He could have gone to part of the boat where,
that's true.
nobody was paying attention.
Yeah,
But at the
maybe.
same time, I mean, that just doesn't seem, I don't know.
Yeah, it's very weird. So, there were local ports and ships that went out to search for George in the waters where they thought, anything could have happened, but they never found any sign of him.
Yeah, I don't
So,
think you would.
no, probably not. But it's weird that he, like, was in the cabin and then locked in and he's gone, I guess.
Some aliens came and dematerialized him through the wall and
Yeah.
brought him on up or on down into
Yeah.
their USO.
Their base down
Yeah.
there. Yeah. So for missing flights, there are two of those.
Okay.
So the first flight is flight 2501. So on the evening of June 23rd, 1950, West Orient Airlines, flight 2501, had 55 passengers and three crew, and they left LaGuardia Airport for Minneapolis. So they kind of did a pre-flight review, and it said the weather, there'd be some like thunderstorms and maybe some possible squalls, but it wasn't like anything super concerning to the crew.
Right.
But they did want to avoid some turbulence, so the captain, Robert Lind, requested to descend to an altitude of 4,000 feet instead of 6,000 feet to try and help with that turbulence. And I guess at first they didn't respond to his request, but as he approached Cleveland, he asked again, and this time they approved it, like ATC approved it. So then,
I mean, at the same time though, like you're talking 1950. I know there was a lot of like planes and stuff, but there weren't as many as we have today. You think it would be a pretty easy
yeah,
approval to
right. Maybe they were just, I don't know, busy.
not, yeah, not my problem.
They've always been understaffed or something,
That's true. There you go. It was a
probably.
problem then and it's a problem now.
Right. I don't know. They approved it once he was over Cleveland. Maybe they wanted to monitor the condition before he got closer to see,
Yeah,
or
that
I
probably
don't
makes more sense.
yeah. So then there was severe turbulence that caused another plane to fall 500 feet while flying over Lake Michigan. So yeah. So ATC instructed Robert to descend to 3,500 feet to avoid a collision with that other aircraft,
Yeah.
since it was now in his airspace, I guess. So he did descend even more to 3,500 feet. But then after that, apparently they flew directly into a squall line. So not good. At 11:13 p.m., the plane made their last radio transmission, and they were requesting to descend to 2,500 feet. And they said most likely he wanted to get below the clouds to have like visual clarity.
Right.
And ATC did not grant them clearance to do that because another plane was departing from Milwaukee at the same time. So it would maybe cross paths. So that was their last radio transmission, and ATC said no.
Nope.
But
Sucks to
I
suck.
mean,
Figure
that's
it
what,
out.
right. So shortly after that, locals between Benton Harbor and South Haven reported hearing an aircraft flying low to the ground, and then they witnessed a flash of light over the lake. So not good. That some witnesses also reported hearing an explosion, but there was also a thunderstorm at the time, so it was kind of hard to differentiate if that was just thunder. And I guess by midnight, radio operatives realized the plane was missing. It took them
Hey
like
guys,
40.
that thing about 12 hours ago that we were running into, we told them no. We don't know where they're at.
Yeah, we said no, but now they're gone. I don't know.
Haven't heard from them in quite a while.
Yeah, kind of crazy. I guess the next day, because of the storm maybe, the Coast Guard discovered an oil slick and partial debris approximately 18 miles northwest of Benton Harbor. So they're pretty sure that was the plane. So over the next couple of days, they found human remains like ears, hands, bones, and they found a seat armrest and some pieces of upholstery. And they also did find a pair of child's pants, which was confirmed to be an 8-year-old passenger on that plane. So then they knew it was that plane that went down. And I guess they had to temporarily close some beaches because of like the amount of debris that was washing ashore. But they never found anything bigger than like the size of a person's hand, which was a little weird that they didn't find any of like big chunks of plane. Because usually you can find like parts of the wing or like the window or something.
Well, I wonder though, being in the 50s, if they were even really worried about like, because I know a lot of like plane debris will be meant to float nowadays.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the case back then.
Yeah. I guess that's true. Maybe it wasn't going to float as much.
Yeah, I
And I
don't
don't even
know.
know if they had black boxes or
I don't. I
I
wouldn't
don't
think
think
they
so.
would.
Right. Yeah. But I guess um the exact cause of the crash has never been determined
ATC
because
saying fucking no. That's what it was.
well, just to be a little lower for like visual. I mean, maybe but they knew how high up they were because they're asking to come lower, so I don't know. I mean, the most accepted theory is that it was because of the bad weather and their lack of visual clarity. But I don't know. People fly through bad weather all the time, but
Well,
maybe
yeah,
not
but I
in the
mean,
middle of
if
things.
they were at what'd you say, 2,500 feet,
Yeah,
and then like you said, a plane had already reported to have fallen 500 feet.
that's true.
If they fell 500 feet in uncontrolled descent and tried to pull it up, like 2,000 feet going that fast is not a easy
Mm.
feat.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Try to
that's true.
recover from a a descent like that. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and there was another theory that the plane was struck by lightning, which caused it to explode, which is why maybe there wasn't bigger debris pieces. Like just breaks into.
I don't
I
know if
don't know.
that's how that works, but I
Yeah,
could be
I don't
wrong.
know. Has lightning ever hit a plane, I guess? I'm sure.
I'm sure it has to have.
Right. But yeah, they don't just
I
explode.
well, and I mean, don't get me wrong,
Maybe.
like lightning is powerful as shit, but I mean, it's not like I don't know. I'm super ignorant. I don't know. Maybe they do explode. Maybe everything lightning touches explodes. I don't know. I am
Yeah.
gonna err on the
Well,
side of
people
caution though.
survive.
That's what I'm
People
saying.
survive getting hit,
If
yeah.
a person can survive and not turn into pink mist, I think an airplane can survive and not turn into little tiny pieces.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and none of the debris they did find had any burn marks.
Right.
So yeah. And then, I mean, there are some people who think it was taken by a UFO or shot down by a UFO. I
Well,
guess,
commercial airliners, they pose a real big threat to these UFOs. So,
yeah. Right. Maybe it almost hit a UFO and they were like, fuck you.
hey, motherfucker, you don't see me driving
Right.
here?
Yeah. I guess two police officers in the area did see red lights hovering over the lake for 2 hours after the plane disappeared. So people say that was a UFO then in connection. That's what the conspiracy theorists say, but so the other flight that went missing happened on July 3rd, 1998. So much more, well, with everything else, it's more recent.
Yeah.
But Don Schaller flew a two-seat Aero L-39 Albatross, which is a high-performance single-engine jet often used as a military trainer by Eastern European countries.
Okay. Got
So
small
he
planes for
was,
small countries.
yeah, yeah, he was a veteran pilot and he was planning on participating in his first air show for the National Cherry Festival in Traverse City, Michigan.
Hell yeah.
So with him was Donovan Rodriguez, who was a flight instructor at Northwestern Michigan College since the 70s. So they're both very experienced pilots. So at 6 p.m., Schaller radioed that he was 27 miles from the Cherry Capital Airport, which is where he had departed from, and he was planning to return to the airport. And then soon after that, flight controllers noticed that the jet vanished from radar and they couldn't make contact with him anymore. Oh, almost immediately, Coast Guard helicopters began searching the area and they did not find anything. And then the next day, a Canadian cargo plane and the Blue Angels C-130 joined the search and they did not find anything. So they searched like miles of land and water and they had to end the search on July 9th because they literally found like nothing.
Hmm.
So that was a little weird. Michigan State Police do believe it crashed into Lake Michigan, but they don't know why because the weather was very calm that day. So there's nothing that should have like surprised them. And they were both very experienced, like I said. And I guess this type of aircraft is considered to be like simple and reliable, so it shouldn't have had a malfunction. I guess, yeah. They
Well,
think,
I was gonna say it's the stories like these that kind of get me, where they
yeah,
vanish without a trace. When you have like a plethora of experience that normally in any other situation, one of those two men would have been able to handle any situation. You know,
right.
but then
Yeah, it's very
having both
strange.
of them disappear like that and then not find anything. Like, I know it's a small plane, but you would think you would find at least some debris, or even like maybe like an
Right.
oil slick or something. Like, you would think you would see something
Yeah,
because they spun up, like you said, almost immediately.
right. Yeah, since it was like a high profile, like they knew what he was doing and he was
Hmm.
a veteran and everything. Yeah, they went to look pretty much right away. And he was only 27 miles from the airport, so it's pretty weird. I guess this plane was also equipped with parachutes and ejection seats, but like people don't know if that was actually functional or if it was just like because that type of plane does have that, but they didn't know if it was functioning.
Well, if it was for an air show, I would probably doubt that it would, but could be wrong.
Well, I mean, don't they? Can't they
Yeah,
jump
I
out of
mean,
it? Or
well,
but I think it was his practice plane,
that's what I'm
though.
saying. Like, I don't
Yeah,
think they would be equipped with that sort of
right.
technology.
Yeah. There was one witness that reported hearing a plane flying overhead and then a loud firework sound is what they called it. But still, you'd think you'd find debris. I don't know. And that witness, they said they never actually saw a plane. They just heard a plane
Well, and I mean,
as
being that
farther away
that
or something.
that it was a small jet, I mean, you could have had like a serious catastrophic failure with the engine and the whole thing explode. I mean, that could definitely happen. But
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I don't know enough about that jet to speak on anything. If people say it's usually reliable, you think that'd be something that would be out of the ordinary too.
right. Yeah. So, I guess later that year, there was an underwater search using sonar. So they did uncover a 30-foot long object that they did think was the plane. But then the next year, divers confirmed that was just a rock formation. So, what those rocks, they're tricky.
Yeah. I mean, that's the hard thing
Yeah,
with trying to explore underwater, though. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, if you're using sonar, like, yeah, you can see a shape, and then, like, I forget the term, but like, people are going to see what they want to see in a shape or a picture or whatever. And then they're going to be like, oh, there's a plane. It looks exactly like it. It's a cylinder that's about 30 feet. Now you get down there, it's just big ass fucking rock.
yeah. In 2008, there was another sonar search which did uncover a possible plane about 450 feet below the surface. And I guess it was next to a boat that had sank in the 50s. Apparently, a dive could not be completed though because the diver was not certified past 400 feet. It was 450. And then I
Well,
couldn't find anything on if people have gone back. Like, yeah, that was in 2008. So I assume it wasn't the plane because I would assume they would send a different diver that could actually go down there.
I
But
mean,
I couldn't
would
find
they?
anything. Well,
Well, I
it's
mean,
been missing and
well, yeah, but I mean, what's going to be the difference if we find it or not? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying
well,
to.
people just like to find these,
That's true.
because it
That's
just
true.
totally disappeared and to not
Yeah.
know what happened at all. Yeah. I don't know.
Discovery Channel, pick this up and go ahead and find this plane. You can make a
Right.
short series out of it. You'll make tens of dollars on it, most likely.
You know. But yeah, that's kind of all the notable incidences.
Okay.
The Lake Michigan Shipwreck Research Association
That
claims
name is fucking too much, man.
right. It doesn't even make a word SRA.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're gonna do that long ass shit, make a cool acronym for it.
Right. But of course they claim the triangle is totally a myth and that the triangle has no more shipwrecks than the rest of the Great Lakes do, which
Well,
could be possible, I guess. I don't know.
that's exactly what the man would want you to think.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so there are a couple theories, of course. So there's the natural theories. We can do that first. So most of the ship disappearances, at least, are blamed on wind waves.
Okay.
So because of the lake's elongated shape and position, its shores are parallel and unimpeded by the wind. So it can allow like riptides and longshore tides and very high waves. Also, like the north-south orientation allows the waves to get even higher. So the highest recorded wave was 23 feet.
Holy shit. In Lake Michigan?
Yeah,
Holy fuck.
right. Oh. And I guess 18-foot waves are not uncommon like during storms, like
Fuck
just regular
that.
storms. So, yeah. So, I mean, that could easily cause the shipwrecks. I guess the flights, I'm not sure, but another common theory, I guess, is the magnetic anomalies caused by magnetic declination and magnetic deviation. So it's like where it deviates from true north because
Yeah.
of your location and everything. So that could cause confusion, I guess, in planes as well. That's kind of what they say sometimes for Bermuda Triangle, but
I don't buy that because
yeah.
we teach when I was in the military, you had to go off of that based on where you were in the world. And if I can teach a
Mm,
private how to look at a map and figure out the difference between what, magnetic north, true north, and then his declination off that is, I'm pretty sure their
mm.
planes and pilots and stuff like that can be trained on how to do that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, your
So,
past life is helping out.
hey,
Yeah, because I guess like Michigan deviates 4 to 5 degrees westward, but you would just know that then to
well, every map
adjust.
that you get, you see the deviation of it. So you can literally account
Yeah,
for it. So,
right. Yeah.
now, granted, going over further distances, you have to really pay attention to it.
Mm,
You know, going over, a couple miles, it'll deviate a decent amount, but if you're going anywhere upwards of 10, 20, 30, 40, 100 miles, you being off by a degree is going to set you off pretty
yeah,
bad.
right. Yeah, so some people say, I mean, it could definitely cause confusion for inexperienced
Sure.
sailors and pilots, but not the pilots that were veterans
But
that witnessing it.
you gotta think though, how many like, and I'm not saying it's not 0 for sure, but how many people are actually that inexperienced that are going out on the water or
Right.
flying? You know what I mean? And that aren't
Yeah.
with somebody that is experienced. Like
Especially like all these ships were like merchant ships and stuff.
right. Yeah, it
Yeah.
wouldn't be a that would be like a non-issue, and at least in my opinion, of people that
Yeah.
that do that job day in and day out, like that would just be part of it.
Right. Okay, so paranormal theories now.
Let's
Your
get it.
favorite. Yeah. So first one is that it's a negative energy vortex at Lake Michigan. Apparently, like, energy, well, whoever doesn't know energy vortexes, I'll tell you. It's certain locations emit sacred, powerful, and transformational energy. Sedona is like Vortex City, but because it has like 6 or 5. But there can be negative energy vortexes because usually it's positive people associate with it, but there can be negative ones. So apparently the lake is like, especially with ley lines, apparently it's like the nexus point of ley lines, like right down the middle of Lake Michigan.
Okay.
So that can cause a negative energy vortex to cause these whatever bad happenings.
Huh? Hey, I
I
hey,
just
listen.
choke on my spit.
Hey, forgot how to be alive for a second. Anyway, look, I'm not a huge believer in the woo energy thing. You know, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I just don't think it does. The thing is though, like there are like weird spots on the planet. Like I do remember going to
Yeah.
Sedona, and I do remember seeing and like feeling like a different change once you get into the mountains and you're in the city opposed to being somewhere else. So, like, I'm not totally discrediting it, but I guess I just don't understand it would be the best way to say it. Like, what makes it negative? Just like you said, the ley lines and the way they interconnect and stuff like that, or
Yeah, I think just with the ley lines, and then if it intersects with like other ancient structures or landmarks, then that can give energy. So it could give it positive or negative energy.
so if there was a massacre that happened on that same ley line, you're feeding
Yeah,
all of that. I see. Okay.
right. Um, yeah, and then others attribute apparently there's a prehistoric structure under Lake Michigan that had been discovered in 2007. So it's often called the North American Stonehenge. And that's kind of on the ley line too. So some people say that's powering some kind of energy.
And this is
But
in the lake?
well, it's in Lake Michigan part, but it's not in the triangle part.
Okay.
So it's in Lake Michigan, but not the triangle. It's in Great Traverse Bay. So that's more north.
So it's not in the water. It's actually a landmark.
Well, no, it's in the water in the bay.
Okay.
But, the bay feeds into Lake Michigan.
I got
It's
you.
underwater.
I
It
got you.
is
Okay.
underwater. Yeah. But it's north of the triangle. So I don't know about that. And then obviously aliens, lots of UFO sightings in Michigan and Lake Michigan. So we're going to talk about the most famous UFO sighting. You might know about this, I guess. It
Okay.
was in 1994. You remember that?
I do. It's a good year.
Yeah. On March 8th, there were sightings that stretched up and down Lake Michigan on the shoreline on the Michigan side. Michigan side always gets the best. So it was a series of bright objects that seemed to dart southwest across the state and then out over the lake and then come back kind of thing. And actually, a lot of people called 911 at that time. So, like, 911 was fielding calls for hours
Oh,
about this
shit.
sighting. Yeah. So then that's kind of documented with these calls. And like a lot of the eyewitnesses, they were like, it's something they had never seen before. And they were like, it's definitely not airplanes. So they were for sure about that. And there were over 300 eyewitnesses.
Damn.
Yeah. So Lee Lamberts, he was a sports writer and editor for the Holland Sentinel. So he was like leaving a basketball game on that night and he saw like a string of lights over Holland High School. And he said there was like an audible humming that tipped him off. So it was not silent for him, so that's a little different.
Yeah.
So when he heard the humming, he looked up to the sky and he saw a long row of like red and white lights. And he said they looked like Christmas lights in the sky. And he said his first thought was, that's not supposed to be up there. I was like, ah, yeah.
No shit.
Yeah. And he said they seemed to be 100 feet up and they were moving very slowly and then they disappeared behind the gymnasium.
Okay. Well, I don't like when people say the distances from a ground-based
Yeah,
thing. Like, you
it's
don't
hard to
know.
tell,
Like, it's like
especially in
with,
the dark.
yeah, you see, I mean, hell, people say the same thing about fucking Starlink. You know what I mean? How
Yeah,
it's a UFO and it was only, hundreds of feet off the ground. Like, bitch, that is in orbit.
right. Yeah, that's true.
Like,
Yeah, that's pretty hard to tell, but he returned to the newsroom like right away and shared what he saw, but no one believed him there.
oh, of course
So,
not.
right. And actually he said like cuz the news coverage started ramping up because of all the calls and everything, so it was in the headlines and everything. So he actually went to a competitor's paper to tell his story of what he saw because his newspaper was not interested and he said he almost was fired,
Well, yeah, when you
of
use the
course.
competitor,
Right.
people don't
But
like to
he
be bested.
yeah. And Cindy Pravda was 20 miles north of that in Grand Haven, and she saw something outside her kitchen window. So she was on the phone at the time, and of course it's like a landline, like corded phone. So she was just standing in her kitchen, like talking, and she saw these bright lights outside of the window. So she said it was like four lights, and she said this was like the size of a full moon. Like four full moons were out there. And they were circular and they were just like white, bright lights. And she said it had well-defined edges and they were like just above her tree line back there. So she said one vanished after 15 minutes, and then the remaining three were maybe another 15 minutes, and then they disappeared. So she called that in. But that's like kind of very different from what the other guy saw,
Yeah. I
missing
mean,
lights.
the volume though is interesting of eyewitnesses.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and Mike Walsh was the investigative reporter for like that competitor paper that the other guy went to. So I guess the next day his manager told him to like go investigate this because of all the calls that came in. And he said at first he was like, "Man, like give this to someone else because you're
That's just the
clearly
kooky bullshit.
right, yeah, like you're picking on me kind of thing. You're giving me this story, really." But once he talked to the dispatchers and he was able to actually get the 911 recordings through like a Freedom of Information Act, then he was like, this is crazy because of all the calls that they said.
Well, yeah, 300 plus calls about the same
Right.
thing. Like that probably
Yeah, over a
happened then.
couple hours.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I guess with one of the calls, they sent out a Holland police officer to like a home that was seeing it. And the police officer also saw the light there with like the family.
Mm-hmm.
So he was a
Yeah.
witness too. And apparently there was a couple camping on a beach at Lake Michigan that night too. And I think it was close to Holland, and they said they woke up in their tent and noticed a bright light, so they looked like outside and they saw a craft like sucking up water from the lake, like a tornado or whatever. So that's kind of
Interesting.
creepy. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, other people said the lake was pretty frozen, so I'm not sure.
Well, and it's one thing, like when you start to hear stories from like if a random person tells you a story and it's like way over embellished, 90% of the time they're lying.
Yeah,
You know what I
right.
mean? Now, if you would have told me we were camping and we saw a craft and we poked our or we saw a light and poked our head out and there was this fucking huge object, okay, I might be inclined to believe you. But then when you include that it's sucking up the lake water, man, it's like, oh Jesus. Okay, well,
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, but yeah, so I guess the dispatch center, while they were filling all these calls, they actually phoned the National Weather Service to try and, I don't know, I guess to see if what they knew, I don't know. But they got a hold of Jack Bouchon, which he was a young meteorologist at the time. So he was actually able to manipulate his radar settings, and he was able to spot an object on the radar that was about 5,500 feet above South Haven. And he watched it on the radar, so he said it looked like it hovered there, and then all of a sudden it like split into multiple parts and like went to other parts of the like Lake Michigan or other cities. I was like, but he
other
said he
places.
right. Yeah, other of those things. And he watched the dots on his radar. He said it moved like tens of miles at a time.
Okay. Yeah.
And it often returned to a triangular formation before like settling over the open water of Lake Michigan. So he watched that do it, that kind of thing a couple times. So he was like, it's definitely something, but
Yeah.
I can't tell you what it is. So like he got it on radar, so that was interesting. And I guess the National Weather Service told him not to talk to since it was getting into headlines and stuff, even though his account matched a lot of the eyewitness accounts. But apparently they didn't want to become the UFO service or like
Right.
they were, yeah.
Well, you got to think too, like during that time, you know, the Bob Lazar thing was kind of going on. Well, no, it was after that, but you know, you had stuff that was happening like the Phoenix Lights and stuff like that, and you had guys like George Norrie and Art Bell that were doing like the coast to coast stuff where they didn't want to be
Mm,
associated with that sort of like, because dude, Art Bell on Coast to Coast would have anybody on and he'd let him talk about it and he'd just be like, wow, that's crazy, that's insane, I can't believe you're an interdimensional time traveler that's been here 16 times and we've had this conversation 30 times today already. Like it's like, okay, I get why you wouldn't want to be associated with that sort
right.
of journalism. But I mean, I don't get it though, because like you would think like even if you were reserved about that, that like that once again, that level of calls, the volume of it would think that it'd be like, hey, there's probably something here.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's like one of the biggest, like people still remember that night,
Hmm.
like if they were there and everything. So, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of other ones, but obviously that's the most well documented, like UFO. So, and there, I think there was a like unsolved mysteries episode about it.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
But yeah,
I'm sure you could YouTube it and find out, you know, anything you wanted to about it. I do think if there are aliens that are here on Earth, that they would probably use the water to hide
yeah,
from us because it's just, I mean, hell, 70% of the mass of the surface mass of the planet is water that we barely explore. So why would they not,
right.
you know? And if they have craft that are, you know, able to go from medium to medium with ease, going 200 miles an hour in the air and then diving into water and continuing 200 miles in the water, like it wouldn't be an issue. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, that's true. They just gotta watch out for the whales. Don't
well,
run into
I mean,
aliens. It'd be like hitting a
technically,
moose
you just see, you're just out on the ocean, you see a goddamn blue whale just fucking fly out of the water.
with like a dent. Oh
Yeah, just like
my
cutting,
God.
yeah. Well, but if those crafts are transmedium, then couldn't they technically go through an animal without even
Yeah,
being,
probably.
you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Right.
Or maybe they
That's
got like
true.
little like extra dimensional like bumper systems, like bubbles on the outside that just kind of like bump them out of the way.
Right. Just
So,
gently scooch over and
yeah. Because I don't know about you, but I've never seen like a whale getting flown from the ocean, so I don't think they're
right.
hitting them at high speeds like that.
Wow, we'd probably miss it because I mean we can't be out in the ocean all the time. And
I
there's
think,
only certain set routes that people take though. Like there's so much of it that you could still stay in. That's not gonna
yeah,
be yeah.
yeah, we need to look at the migratory paths of like giant whales and see if they avoid anything. That's where we need to look.
Yeah. All right, I guess we gotta get our diving certificate
Now we've got to become
into the
marine
ocean.
biologists and,
Right.
somehow get onto like a grant study that we can go out to the ocean with a team for however God knows how long. We picked the wrong career path way too late, Sarah.
Yeah. Well, we're adjusting now. But that's all I have, really. I think the pilot disappearing, like the two veteran pilots, like that's the most interesting one.
Yeah, that for sure is very odd. The other ones I can chalk up to a lot of natural disaster for sure.
Yeah.
You know, rogue squalls coming through, downing planes, capsizing boats, like that makes sense. But those two on a clear day, experience, solid aircraft, I don't know, that one's
Yeah.
really weird. So,
Right. Very strange. Well, and I feel like the captain disappearing, but I guess he could have, yeah, he could have gone overboard or something.
I feel like I mean, I don't feel like anybody would have noticed if he had, like, suffering from depression or anything
Yeah.
like that. So, I mean, that
Right.
I don't know, but that wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility for me,
Yeah.
for him to, throw himself overboard like that. So,
Yeah.
I don't
He didn't want another birthday.
I know, you know?
He was like, this one's the last one.
Well, and I mean, of all days to do it, if that's the way you're feeling, that might be a time to that you and your mind can be like, well, this is when I'm doing it, so whatever, it doesn't matter where I'm
Yeah.
at, so
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Kind of weird, but most of it probably can be explained.
Well, but that doesn't make it any more or less terrifying if it's the triangle.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like if there could be a spot right in that triangle that's where those 18 footers are very common, or those massive 20 plus foot waves are common, just from the way the wind
just from the
hits it. Or
wind.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
So
it's still terrifying for sure.
yeah, I wouldn't want to go on Lake Michigan by myself or in a small boat. I'd want to make sure I was on a big motherfucker. That way, at least I had a chance.
Yeah. Well,
So
on the Chicago side, it's safe. It's fine.
that's true. You just gotta, deal with. Are there a lot of, and I'm sure there are. Forgive my ignorance. Are there a lot of ports and stuff out there?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so. I guess.
you live there.
Well, I mean, there's a port in Chicago, right? I don't see it. I don't go there. I think it's on the south side,
Oh,
probably.
okay.
So I always go to the beach, like Montrose Beach, which is more north,
Okay.
or like Zion, which is way north, like on Wisconsin border.
Well, I don't know. I think you're right. The most of them can be explained naturally, but that those pilots are pretty weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. Listeners, what do you think? Let us know in the comments down below, however you're listening to this. What the hell is going on with the Michigan Triangle? Is it the same thing as the Bermuda Triangle? Is there something we missed? Is there energy vortexes, ley lines, crazy conspiracies that we missed? Let us know all of that down in the comments. If you guys enjoyed the show, please consider subscribing, liking anything that you're seeing this on. Check out our Patreon for a couple extra perks over there. That'll be at the Paranoid Perspective Podcast /patreon.com. If Patreon's not your jam, share this podcast with a friend. Helps us out quite a lot. And with that, as always,
Remember, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not watching. See you next time on The Paranoid Perspective.